We're joined now by Fox Sports senior NBA analyst Ric Bucher. Welcome, Slick.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Was Paul wrong about the Knicks?
Paul's been so wrong about so many things. Which derogatory comment are we talking about here?
I was wrong.
Well, I mean, I think we're referring to the series being over and their season being over.
Oh, well, that's right. He's right on that.
All right, there we go.
No, I wasn't wrong about that.
Yeah. The victory in Indiana salvaged that this could be an interesting series or that it could be an extended series. But the idea that the New York Knicks could actually win the series at this point, I thought this was an aberration. We've seen it with the Indiana Pacers. For whatever reason, Game 3 is their bugaboo in every series. They lost Game 3 in the first round, the second round, and they did it again here. For whatever reason, Pascal Siakam is very tied to that. He has a minus. The only minus that he's had in any of the games in the playoffs so far has been in Game 3 in previous series and was again in this one. So, look, all the pressure was on them. They responded to it. For whatever their better road team, they're 5-1. If I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs on the road. But the idea that they're going to somehow carry this back to, depending on what happens in Game 4, that they're going to carry it back to Madison Square Garden, Indiana Pacers are just as comfortable there as any place else. So,
So you weren't wrong about the Knicks.
I just hope that it's a competitive series.
Earlier, I was thinking, what was impressive was Cat's performance. But as far as the win, they got lucky again. I'm just saying.
Yeah. How lucky? We can't. I'm about to ban. The word lucky is getting banned from the set.
I mean,
they're lucky
because this is the third time in the playoffs they've come back from 20. You know the percentages is on that? If I got one roll on the dice and my chances is 4%, and I hit, that's luck. It ain't nothing I did. I mean, they play hard. And think about it. You had 5 fouls with Brunson and Cat. So I'm sitting there like, there's no way they're going to win this. You got Brunson on the bench. You got Cat in the game having an out-of-body experience in the fourth quarter because in the first 3 quarters, he was on the milk carton missing. And so he decided to show up and play the game of his life to keep the season alive. Now, do I believe Indiana is going to lose another game at home? No, because I feel like they're the far better team.
All right, but you would have to say that the Pacers are lucky too then, because they've done the exact same thing.
I did say that. I said it
so
when they won.
So this is a lucky series then.
So it's just lucky versus lucky.
I just don't think
it's going to be the luckiest team.
Like one time is an accident or luck.
Yeah.
2 times it's a pattern. 3 times it's who you are.
Right.
Like you can't accidentally come down. Yeah, you can't accidentally come down from down 20.
I mean, you could keep getting lucky. That's a thing. That's a thing.
No, you can't. Yeah, it's a lot of dudes that get lucky.
I think you're watering down the definition of luck.
I was saying what Paul is saying. It's a lot of people that get lucky multiple times.
But this ain't every now and then. This is like
I don't see. You can look online right now. It's a guy that won the lottery 3 times.
Oh, we didn't know where you were going with that.
Me too. That's why I put my hands up. Like,
I mean, you get lucky. If you get lucky a couple times, maybe you just got some game.
Look, man, it was impressive for the simple fact they stayed the course. The same thing that Indiana did in Game 1 in New York, the Knicks, they stayed the course. They was down, and they stayed the course. They didn't panic. They just said, okay, we got to turn up the heat. Cat had 4 points in the first half. Second half, fourth quarter, he came alive. He was something different. He stayed the course. That's not luck. It's just knowing that we got to continue to fight our tail off to be able to get the W. That's impressive because they could have very easily looked at themselves and said, man, we getting ready to go down 3-0. It's over, and just quit. They could have completely just quit, but they didn't do that. They did the same thing that Indy did in Game 1. The same exact thing, except Indy was lucky because they got that bounce that we all know should have gone over the backboard, but it went into the net.
They got lucky.
They got lucky as far as Game 1 goes.
No more luck.
I don't think that this was luck. I think that for whatever reason, they dug deep, they stayed the course. Cat had an amazing game, and they said to themselves, we can win this game.
I'd argue that they were fortunate. They were fortunate in that Jalen Brunson got into foul trouble because it forced Tom Thibodeau to do something that he generally doesn't do, which he went to his bench. And the one thing with the Knicks is when Jalen Brunson's on the floor, they're pretty predictable. You know where the ball's going to go. You know what they're going to do. You know who's going to run the show. With him in foul trouble, it suddenly became the Karl Anthony Towns show. And as we know with Karl, like, we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know where he's going to shoot
but
from.
But he was in foul trouble in game 2.
Understood. Understood. But I think it changed the dynamic there's a combination. One, the Knicks suddenly became unpredictable in terms of who was on the floor and how they were going to play. Indiana wasn't prepared to play this particular Knicks team in this rotation. And then the other part is, let's face it, you're the Indiana Pacers. You're up 2-0 in the series. You're up 20+ in game 3 at home. Like, it's human nature where you're not going to keep your foot on the pedal. And these teams...
That's true. We've seen it in game 1 with the Knicks at home and up by whatever they were up by.
Understood, because I don't think there's that great of a separation between these two teams. So that combination of the unpredictability of the Knicks, the Pacers taking their foot off the pedal just a little bit, resulted or delivered this result. I don't know that that's luck. I think that's a lot of circumstantial
I don't think it's luck
stuff.
either. I don't think it's luck at all, Joy. They did what they were supposed to do.
No luck, no fortunate situations or circumstances. It was very impressive, and I'm going to give the Knicks some credit.
Yeah.
In the Eastern Conference Finals, down 0-2, to then be down 20 points, they could have lost all hope.
No, exactly.
And they didn't.
No.
They became unpredictable. Brunson was in foul trouble. Cat was playing terrible. It's a lot to snap out of that mid-game and then go have the fourth quarter that he had. It's a huge road win. The series was on the line. Your postseason dreams are dangling right there in front of you, and they've already taken 2 huge emotional lumps at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very, very impressive win. There's nothing lucky about this. Now, if you want to talk about what's happened in Game 3 throughout this postseason, that's something to talk about because multiple teams have done that. The Bucks were down 0-2 to the Pacers. They won Game 3, then lost the series in 5. The Cavs were down 0-2 to the Pacers, won Game 3, lost the series in 5. The Magic were down to the Celtics, won Game 3, then lost the series in 5. And the Celtics were down 0-2 to the Knicks, won Game 3, and lost the series in 6. So this Game 3 thing where you have this lead of 0-2 and you just take this sort of emotional step back kind of happened, but they still had a 20-point lead, the Pacers did.
But see, in a lot of those
and
games,
all of the momentum at home.
In a lot of those games that you mentioned, though, I don't think those other teams could have potentially been up 2-1. I honestly believe that the Knicks, from a Knicks standpoint and Knicks side, that they should be and could be up 2-1 right now.
They have reason to believe that.
Of course you do. Yeah. Again, ball goes up in the air, typically goes behind the basket or to the left or the right, not right back down into the basket.
Everyone in that building and everyone watching at home knew that shot was going in.
Yeah, you knew once you kind of looked, you go, oh.
It could have hit the roof and it was still going in.
Yeah. Because it was a lot.
It just was what was happening.
They got a dilemma, though. I'm going to tell you something. We're going to really see. The Knicks got a super dilemma right now because if you look at Game 1, when they made the run and pushed the lead, Brunson was on the bench. Game 3, Brunson was on the bench when they came back for the most part. And yes, obviously the offense became a little more freer, but the defense got better.
Yeah.
So what do you do now moving forward with Brunson's minutes and how you play him? Because it's starting to look like he's a liability or they're searching him out on defense.
That's not a bad call. And I would say the Karl Anthony Towns, Miles Turner matchup is more advantageous for New York than Jalen against Aaron Nesmith. And
you got the guy who is considered one of the most clutch players in the NBA. Like, down the stretch, do you sit him, play him? Do you sub him in on offense, take him out on defense? This is what I'm going to be looking for in Game 4.
They were taking him out in Game 1. Maybe it was even Game 2, too. They was taking him out late in the game on the defensive side. The defensive side of the ball. They were switching it out.
We're talking about, like, for stretches, it is a dilemma because he's been Tom Thibodeau's guy.
But you can't do that. You can't take the most clutch player in this year's NBA out in tight games.
But there's a pattern. There's a pattern now. Like right now, after 3 games, we're seeing a pattern.
Yeah, you can't do it, though.
Why not?
Because if you do that, then all of a sudden, you got a guy that's feeling a certain way. Think about that. He is human. He gonna feel a certain way.
You got to shelf that. You got to shelf that ego. And
no, you want him to.
Wow.
But will he is the question.
I watched Steph Curry come off the bench for 3 games for Jordan Poole in the playoffs because the team was rolling. And he could have, after game 1, said, I'm healthy. I played. I scored 20-plus in game 1. And he was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to go with what's working. If Jalen Brunson is really all about that, if it's the same Jalen Brunson who gave up money in order for them to build a better team around him, then Jalen Brunson is going to say, you know what, if Cat's got it going, if that's the way we need to go, or if I need to come, spend a little more time on the bench, then that's what we have to do.
But if you're down by 20 or whatever the number would be at the point in time that he sat down, I'm sure he would look at it that way. But if it's a tight game, Rick, I'm not sitting him down. I'm just not. I'm not sitting him down. If
It's a dilemma. Game. I mean, there's no question. It's not. I'm not saying it's an easy decision for Jalen or for Tibbs or for anybody. But I'm saying, like, if you make that decision, then you hope that everybody's on the same page.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.